Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us in this online healing retreat brought to you by acoustichealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and I welcome you to this healing with sacred symbols. These are prayer glyphs, and Jean Logan, Dr. Jean Logan, uses them in her own life, and she's been guided to share them with the world. Jean is very fascinating. She's got a great story of her own healing in her life and the lives of those close to her. And the stories that are coming in actually from around the world about how these glyphs are working are quite incredible. If you're familiar with Reiki energies, then these glyphs make sense to you. And if that's new to you, then we'll hear more about the power of these healing glyphs. Please welcome Jean Logan. Jean, thank you so much for being here on this online healing retreat.
Thank you, Loren. This is quite an honor, and I am so grateful to all of the people who have joined us today, and especially those who are up in the middle of the night in other countries. I think that's just wonderful that you're able to join us.
And even more so through the recording of this, because as we know, there is no time, so this will live in as well for those to watch it again later. We've got a great show for you today, an experience. Dr. Jean is going to show us how to work with the emotional healing glyphs first, and then we'll take some questions from you that are specific. But the intention starting off is to see how Dr. Logan uses these in her own life in a pattern. It's a combination of some of these that remove layers from your field, and she'll explain more. And then, of course, we'll take your questions, too. Before we get started, Dr. Jean, go ahead and share again for everyone how these glyphs came to be created. They're literally energized from source energy.
Yes. Loren, before we do that, how about if we just take 2 minutes for a meditation and call in some light? Can we do that? I think that would be a good way to start out.
Thank you, yes.
Can I get everybody, if you want, just relax for a moment. Take a deep breath and kind of let the cares of the day go away. And just let yourself go. And I want you to visualize a bright light coming in through the crown of your chakra, the light of the divine. And see that light going all the way down through your body, all the way down, out your feet, all the way down to the earth. And when you send that light to the earth, let's send a blessing, our healing energy, our love, and our gratitude to the earth. And then bring that light back up and hold it within you for healing and the love that it brings. And as we do this today, I want you to remember one thing. You are divine. You are unlimited. The only limitations we have in life are those we place upon ourselves. Everything that we want, the universe wants us to have. And that's why we're bringing in these glyphs, so that we can help remove those things that are standing in the way. Okay, now we'll bring ourselves back. Okay. Now, I want to talk about how I got started in the glyphs. We're going to give you a brief little story here. I've always been interested in glyphs, although I didn't know why. But I always had a difficult problem with depression too. In the morning I would wake up depressed and had no reason I could understand why. And so I was always asking for help, and I would go to everybody who would do a reading and waste a lot of time and money trying to figure out what in heaven's name I was doing on this earth. And then one day someone sent me an email that had a glyph on it, and it had a little, looked like a little centipede, and you'll see it in your book there. And I took that, printed it out, and I don't know if I was guided to or thought I taped it over my solar plexus. And I felt such a commotion going on in my liver that I thought, what in heaven's name is that? And it took a while before it subsided. And I realized the glyph said, it was written by a lady by the name of Judith Moore, and it said on there that it was a glyph that would remove a parasite that held fear in our body. And that made sense to me, having done a great deal of study on these types of things. And so I thought, well, I don't know what it was, but I think I had it, and I think it's gone. And I asked my guides, I said, how could anybody give that much power to a little drawing on a piece of paper? And so they told me that to decide what you want the glyph to say, what to do, draw a little picture, write down a little program what you want for it, and then have a ceremony. And then I thought, well, ceremony, okay, I was a Catholic once, I know about ceremony. Let's see, a candle, a prayer, I can do that. And so I started, and I didn't get very far at first. I was just trying to get something that said joy, energy, and what different things like that, and no luck whatsoever. And then someone called me, and they said they had broken a glass bowl, and a piece went deep inside their foot, and it was now badly infected. And she said, asked if I knew of any way that I could help her, because she didn't want to take antibiotics. And so I said, well, Kathy, would you be willing to try a little experiment? And she said, sure. And I told her about this glyph idea. I draw a little picture, it looked like a little amoeba, and I drew another glyph to Speed Healing, and I sent them to her on an email. And the next morning she said, wow, these things are working. She said the pain is gone, the swelling is gone, and the redness is gone. And she said, and it was on its way to healing. And then I knew that I was onto something. So then I realized the reason that we don't have joy is because we have so much stuff, baggage, emotional baggage, standing in the way. Now for me, my biggie was fear. Fear controlled my life. From the time as long as I can remember, I was afraid of everything that walked or moved, and those are things that didn't. And so one of the first ones I designed was fear, and I could literally feel it when I put that glyph on my solar plexus. I could feel it pulling stuff out of my body. And then I just went on from there, creating one after another, only for myself. And so as time went by, I removed more and more stuff, and I was given to understand that that was why I was here. I had a reading from this woman who wrote the first glyph, and she said, this is why you are here. This is what you're here for, that you are being divinely inspired to write these glyphs so that you can help other people in their healing. So that's how it all began.
It's wonderful that you followed the call of your heart and, you know, put aside that skepticism, because proof was in the pudding. You were gaining confidence with this when you saw the results. So we hope that everyone that uses these will have a similar experience. I used it for a skin issue, and it's gone away. It's wonderful. And some people are more sensitive to the energies than others. So what would you say, Dr. Jean, about someone being open to this idea. That is a crucial element because doubt will tend to close it down, the process.
Right, right, that's true. People often ask me, do you have to believe in them for them to work? And I always say they work very well on animals. As a matter of fact, they seem to work better on animals sometimes than people. The animals do not doubt. They do not question. They're not going to say, how long is it going to take? Why isn't it working? I don't feel anything. So they just are. They just are. And if a person can just be and not judge what it is. And I always caution people, if you enjoy using them and you know someone else you think they'd be great for but they're not interested, let them be. Skepticism and doubt put out a negative energy. And when they are not interested, they literally will want to sometimes prove you wrong. And so I think it's best just to let them be. Oftentimes people are trying to talk their father and their grandfather and everybody else into healing with these, and these are for the individual who is willing to work with them. Now, not everybody, I'm very sensitive to the energy, and a lot of you will be, and most of you will feel something. If you do not feel anything, that does not mean they're not working. I find the time when I am most sensitive to that feeling is when I first wake up in the morning, right when you're half asleep. I'll take a bunch of them and I'll stick them on my solar plexus because I kind of enjoy the feeling of when stuff is literally being pulled out of my body that I know doesn't need to be there. But when you put them on in the daytime and you go about your business and don't feel a thing, don't think it isn't working, because it is. It is.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to go through how to use the guide that you have. The ebook is really helpful because each of these 30 glyphs they're in a sheet of numerous ones, and you can print out the whole thing. So Jean, we'll let you get started here. I'll back you up with the ebook and the images. So we're excited to start off with these glyphs.
Okay. All right. The first one we're going to do is number 2. We're going to pass over number 1 right now, but we'll do number 2, which is I called it trust. But what it really is there's 3 glyphs in the book that will remove fear. And what this one will do will remove layers of things that are holding us back. And when I empower the glyphs, I don't just say remove fear. I often have to put a phrase to it, like remove, I can't do it, I don't know how, nobody likes me, I'm not good enough. There will be a paragraph of statements or feelings that the glyph will remove. And this one here will not only remove things, but will help instill your trust in the divine and in the divine plan. Now the next one, and this one, Lorraine, we want to take this number 5 for fear and bring that one up. And because I'm going to read exactly, I won't be reading all of the programming for all of them, but I just want to read you the one for 5, number fear, what is gone into just this one glyph. It's transition to light, any imprinting or patterns of fear, terror, and horror stored anywhere in the body, in the genes, cellular memory, or DNA. Remove any essence and all energy from the body in the auric field that is caused by fear, terror, or horror. Remove fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of ridicule, feelings of inadequacy, fear of loud noises including thunderstorms. I did that for the dogs. Go throughout all meridians, organs, glands, navies, circulatory systems, and all other areas of the body to rapidly remove any traces of the emotion or essence of fear, terror, and horror. Instill the frequencies of love, confidence, and joy. The universe loves and supports me. I am at peace. I am unlimited. Restoring the body and etheric field to its natural state, which is love. Transition to light any frequencies that are not in harmony with the original blueprint. Correct malfunctions caused by fear, terror, and horror. Collapse any soul programs that are no longer needed. Resolve any lingering bacterial, viral, or detrimental programs to allow for expansion and growth. Remove any disembodied spirits. Incorporate all intrinsic cellular systems to adjust to new frequencies. Establish a self-renewing protective shield around the individual. Call upon the violet flame of Saint Germain to assist the user in positive transformation. So I wanted to read that to you so you'd understand. Each glyph has a long paragraph of what it will remove and what it will instill. But I wanted to mention about where it says fear, terror, and horror. When I was asking the divine, oh, what am I missing? Is there anything I was missing? And I was told terror and horror are slightly different than fear. They go beyond fear. When something really horrific happens, it goes beyond fear. And one of the things that we need to remember is that these things are in the body in layers like an onion. So you will pull out, you will probably feel it pulling out a certain amount, but it is only pulling out the first layer. You have to keep at it a little at a time. One of the things I find is people try it and they say, oh, that's interesting, it really works great, I feel a lot better, and then they kind of lose interest. We don't want to do that. Keep working on it. Unless you're walking on water, there's stuff that you need to still remove. So don't give up on them. And I would say use these emotional healing ones at least once a month. So Loren will move on to the next one, which is number 6, remove anger and resentment. And that one, removing anger and resentment, is really important. There's so much stuff that we hold, and this is also removing things from past lives. But there's one thing I want you to remember about anger and resentment. This will remove stuff you are holding, but it will not keep you from adding more to it. So along with this, you have to let go of any feelings of anger, resentment toward people in your lives. Sometimes that's difficult to do. You may have a sister-in-law or mother-in-law or ex-husband that has really done what you think are some rotten things. Remember that this person, that is just the persona who they are in this lifetime. They are a spiritual being. You don't have to spend time with them. In discernment, you can just go ahead and do your own thing and stay away from them if you can. Sometimes if they're in your family, then you just have to deal with it the best you can. But love them anyway. And this is when it's good to, there's a practice called Ho'oponopono. And I'm going to spell that out, and then I'll just let you look that up later on the internet if you have not heard about it. You might take your pen and pencil and write this down. Actually, it's Ho'oponopono. The accent's on the first syllable. It's H-O accent O-P-O-N-O-P-O-N-O. I'm going to spell it one more time. H-O with the accent on the O, O-P-O-N-O-P-O-N-O. And if you type that into Google or whatever your search engine is, you will find all kinds of free stuff that tells about it. And the concept being that you're saying a little mantra to yourself. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you very much, I love you. And you say this over, because whatever you have in you, if you have this anger toward your relation here somehow, some other person, it is you. You are removing what is you are holding. That's whatever that person has done or you feel they've done, you have somehow drawn that into your life. And if you release what you are holding by that little mantra and the use of the glyphs, it will help you and your relationship with that other person. I just wanted to mention that because the glyphs can be used with any other holistic method. They can be used with anything. They will not interfere with anything. And so if you're using another holistic modality, fine. They work well together. If you're using crystals or sound or color, it all works well together. So we'll move on to guilt, shame, and embarrassment, which is number 7. And a real advantage, the real thing I learned from guilt, shame, and embarrassment, I was one who didn't want to be seen without my clothes on, which is not very great in a married life. I really did not enjoy sex. And I realized this, as I used this glyph and my feelings changed, I realized because of the puritanical life that many of us are brought up in, that can be a problem with many people. Sex can be something that they look upon as bad or shameful, or parts of their body are shameful. And as people continue to use this glyph, it will remove all that guilt, all that feeling that certain things were naughty and when you were a child, things that you were embarrassed about, or people saying certain parts of your body are bad. And this is such a powerful one to help people who might be frigid or have some difficulties in their sex life. And then we'll move on to number 13, which is remove grief and sadness. And so many people are holding it in, grief and sadness, for reasons they don't even know, and possibly even for a past life. I've had people tell me they feel sad and they feel like they could cry, but they don't know why. And the one nice thing about the glyphs is you don't need to know what it's removing. You don't have to go and talk to someone who has to dig out things in your past, every little embarrassing thing in your life or every sad thing, because the glyphs will do it without you having to even figure out what it's all about. Most of us have had hundreds of past lives. There's no reason, if a person wants to have a past life regression, if there's any reason it will help them, that's fine. I'm not against past life regressions, but these glyphs will help remove stuff from both the present and the past life, and remove some of that sadness and grief that we're holding without any idea what it's all about. Now then, let's go on to number 18, remove fear of abandonment. I know this was given to me, this little fella here. He's just a little duckling or whatever he is, and he doesn't know where his mama is. And there's so many times that we may have in a past life been abandoned. I mean, and a lot of times you don't even have to be abandoned. I was told that I had fear of abandonment, and I thought, well, my parents never abandoned me. I don't know what they were talking about. And then I remembered I was to recall an incident when they went on a vacation up to Canada, and they were going to have a neighbor take care of me, and the neighbor wasn't home. They weren't going to be home till the next day, and they kind of farmed me off to somebody where I slept in these people's attic, and I was so lonely and frightened. And certainly at that time I felt very abandoned. So there's oftentimes in our childhood, even though we have loving parents, that we may have felt abandoned for some reason. When we couldn't find your mama's hand when you're walking in the supermarket. There's a lot of incidences that can cause abandonment without serious abandonment, and also heartache. This will help mend the cords that are torn or broken in severed relationships, or relationships that have been brought about by death. It doesn't matter whether it's a divorce, death, or it's painful. It's all very painful, and this will help ease that pain. When I went through my divorce, I took that one, fear of abandonment and heartache, the one on grief and sadness, the one on anger and resentment, and the ones on fear, and I piled them all on top of each other, and I taped them to my solar plexus. And I felt such a relief from all the unpleasant feelings that I would had. It helped release, too, the resentment that I felt, where now my ex-husband and I have a great relationship, and I realized that we needed to be apart for us to continue on our path. There's absolutely no doubt that it was the best thing for both of us, but it doesn't make any difference. It's always painful. So that made a big difference in getting over the pain. Okay, I think we're done for those particular ones about letting go of the different emotions. So we're going to move on to number 3, clearing ancestral issues. Now, each of these glyphs has a prayer. It's a good idea to say that prayer. With this particular glyph, it's not only a good idea, it is essential. Because what you're going to be doing when you say that prayer, or you will be calling upon the Lords of Karma to help remove any karma, and you will be helping to break the link to any hereditary problems. Now, when you call on the Lords of Karma and you ask to have your karma removed, if you're quiet and still, you may hear them. If you cannot hear them, do not be concerned. At this particular time in our evolution, it is easier to get rid of karma than it ever was before. You don't have to go drudging around with a ball and chain around your foot thinking that there's some terrible karma that you have to make up for something. That doesn't mean that you may not encounter people and different things that there's part of your karma, but it just means there's no humongous block that can't be removed as far as karma. So go ahead and read the whole prayer with sincerity and understanding. Now we're going to go on to the next, and this is actually going to be kind of a group I'm going to talk about here, about detoxification number 4. Excuse me, I think I'll get it. The best way to start with the detoxification glyph is to take a strip of 4 of them, cut 4 out together, and then add to it a strip of the parasite glyph, which is number 15. And tape that underneath your rib cage on the right side to clear out from your liver any parasites and toxins. It won't get all the toxins. The toxins are going to take some time. But if you don't use the parasite glyph and you have parasites, it won't do you much good because the parasites are continually putting out toxic matter. Now, you don't have to know whether you have parasites or not. Maybe you don't have any parasites, but they are more common than you realize. And you don't even know. Sometimes they're just draining your energy. That's why a lot of people feel tired all the time, is because they've got parasites in them that are draining their energy. So if you take a strip of them, put them under the right side for your liver, you do the same on your left side for your spleen. You could put them on your solar plexus for your pancreas. You could put them any number of places, and certainly the detox one on your kidney. And frankly, I'm not sure whether you get parasites in your kidney, but it certainly wouldn't hurt. Nothing wrong with putting it there too. Then the next one, we'll go on to Oh, let me just go, let's talk about that detox. I'm sorry, Lauren, let's go back to detox a minute. Because this one, you can take, now this one you will want to use a lot. In that book, I put a number of the glyphs there. You may want to take and cut out the shape of a shoe insert, like the kind you put inside your shoes, or just something to be on the bottom of your foot and wear them at night. You could put them, you can use them any number of places, but you will want to use this often at first. Now, when you put them on the bottom of your feet at night, they may keep you awake. So if that happens, just go ahead and take them off and use them in the daytime, or just use them on your solar plexus or under the liver for a while, because the drawing may feel, I've had several people say that they woke up at night and had to take them off, but that's okay. Just use them in the daytime or try another night. As you remove more and more toxins, you will find that easier to deal with. Okay, then we'll go on to number 10 now.
And you know what I'd like to suggest, well, what will get everyone is Dr. Jean has given me a Word document with a listing of the slides in the combination, and we'll just make sure that we get that out to everyone. That's a handy piece of paper to have for this. And it's exactly what you're talking about with the slide, with the glyph numbers, so it's easy for people to refer to in the future.
Sure, right.
Okay.
Okay, let's go to 10, bacteria and viruses. This glyph, you could actually use that with the others too, if you felt like, if you have a lot of, if you're tired a lot. There are times we can be holding a, and I won't say dormant, but let's just call it a low-grade virus in us and not realize it. So when you're using the first two, we just spoke about, the detox and parasites, you could put that with it. There's certainly no harm done. Now that one you can use both for, let's say you have an infection on the surface of your skin, this really works great. If you have a virus, viruses are a little more, they're all over the body, and they are, you would need to, a stubborn, serious virus, you would have to put them on maybe the back of the heart and the solar plexus, wherever you feel guided, in the front of the heart. And if a serious virus, you would have to do this regularly for a number of days. It's just like, well, let me explain. If you took a pill, an antibiotic, that frequency is in your body for a number of hours. And the doctor would usually tell you, take it 3 times a day. So for so many hours, that frequency is in your body, and then you take another pill, and that frequency is again in your bloodstream. With a glyph, the frequency is in your energy field. That frequency can dissipate very quickly. So if you have a virus and you put the glyph on while you're sleeping, and then you take it off in the morning, the frequency will diminish quickly. So in the case of a serious illness, you would have to try to wear that glyph on a regular basis. After your shower, you would put it on again, and I'm talking about a serious illness. I was contacted by someone to create something for the people in Africa who have AIDS, and I decided I'd put it on a t-shirt. I put the glyph on the front of the t-shirt for the solar plexus and on the back over the heart chakra. And I said when they wear it, wash it real quick, put it on again. Keep it on their body as much as possible. Now I'm talking about for serious viral problems. Okay, we can move on to the next one, which is clearing blocks. Let's do number 8 now. Now, I was guided to do this, and it was just, you put the glyph on, and what it does is it clears blocks that are in your way. It's a very subtle one, and you use that one regularly also because it will be clearing blocks, like I said before, in layers. Use it once a month, and I would, again, just like the other ones for the emotional things, I would use them all once a month. And as you get used to using these, what I do is I take a block of 4 to make sure I've got it covered, and I have a stack of the glyphs I want to use, maybe 4, 5, 6, and I wrap them in a cotton cloth and I tuck them behind my bra strap over my heart chakra. Sorry guys, I don't know what you can do for the same thing for that, but that's one way that I use as I want to continue using ones, like I have one for allergies and so forth, and I've just put that behind there and it works great. So we'll go on to the next one, number 29, which is releasing blocks to abundance. And I coupled with that upgrading our DNA. Now I want to say first about the DNA. You will hear a lot of people who advertise they will activate all 12 strands of your DNA. I'm not saying that they're not being honest with you. I'm just saying my understanding has been given to me that you will be able to be activated only so far as you're ready. Now this glyph, if there's one strand that you're ready to be activated, it will help with that. It will not suddenly jump you up to number 12. So I just wanted to make that clear. Now, the releasing blocks to abundance. Oftentimes in past lives, people took a vow of poverty, or other things in their life. They may have had a past life where they have said things that have created blocks that they don't even know that they're there. That will release the blocks. It will also added a program to give some type of a little bonus or reward. Now the amount of that will depend upon your frequency. It may be that you'll just find a quarter laying out on the street. That's going to be up to whatever the universe wants to honor that with. Myself, I had an incident where I was given a refund from Sears for $500 that I wasn't due. And I thought, wow, they weren't supposed to refund this money to me. I would exchange something. So I asked the divine, I said, should I give that money back to Sears? And the answer I got was, I gave that to you. It is a gift. All things are of me. There are no exceptions. So if the power company accidentally gives you a rebate twice, say thank you. Now, I had mixed feelings on that at first, but I've just gone with what I was told. But on the other hand, when it's a personal thing, if the clerk gives me too much change, I can't take that. I still have to, if it's on a personal note, I can't, I have to give it back. But that was an interesting thing, because I think sometimes I'm so determined to have complete integrity that I think I felt like I had to give that back to Sears. So that was a good lesson for me. So you will get some kind of a gift. I don't know what it will be, but you'll find out. Next thing we're going to talk about is clearing the chakras. And when you use this glyph, I use it on the solar plexus. You could actually put it on the other chakras too, but the solar plexus is like a grand central station. And you can put something on your solar plexus and feel it all the way down in your big toe. But sometimes I just enjoy putting things on other chakras, and sometimes it's something that you should do. but it will repair any damage. It will help in the alignment. It will clear them and align them, and it will remove anything that is attached that shouldn't be there. It will really do a thorough house cleaning on your chakras. So the next one, relief from tension and anxiety. We'll go on to that, number 14. And sometimes this will help you sleep at night, but this one is subtle. Sometimes using the other emotional healing glyphs, if you can't sleep and you have something on your mind, is there something else that is causing it that could be helped by adding to it an emotional relief glyph? This gives a certain subtle energy. It will not be like taking a prescription drug sleeping pill, but it won't leave you groggy in the morning either. So this is just a gentle relaxation, and it just is a very soothing effect. And sometimes when I'll wear it when I'm going to speak in public, I will put on the glyph for fear, and I'll put this one on too. And that just has me running in super condition.
We can tell you used it today.
Now we will. No, I really didn't need it today. When you're at home, it's a little easier. So, okay, we'll go on to releasing vows. Okay, now, many of us in past life, we made a bunch of vows for different reasons. I think I was a nun in a past life, and I'm sure they make lots of vows. And so what this will do is this will let you release those vows, whether it was a spiritual thing or a religious vow or personal vow. It will remove it all and allow you to move forward without whatever that vow had that was holding you back. That's one of my favorite, the cutest glyph. I think it's cute. Okay, now we'll go on to focus, which is number 17. And someone told me the other day that they wore that. I tend to wear that in the daytime, but she said she wore it all night. And she said, boy, the next day I was really focused. And I thought, well, that's interesting. I'm going to have to try that myself. It's also programmed to help you remove your clutter, because one of the reasons that we oftentimes having a problem focusing or concentrating is we have so much stuff in our area that not only visually but energy-wise that's causing us a problem. So this will give us a gentle nudge to clear out our space and help us concentrate on the task at hand. Again, it's not going to tie you to your desk. It's not going to take over your free will to go down and have a piece of cake when you should be working, if that's what you want to do. But it will give you a gentle ability to focus and clear out better. Okay, we're going to go on to bites from insects. This is one, I use this a lot. I get a lot of bites from insects. I just got a yellow jacket bite the other day that was so severe my tongue even swelled up. So I carry this glyph in my wallet. I have it in my car because I don't want to be subject to that again. That was a scary experience. And I was not at home, and I got home as quick as I could, and I put the glyph on behind my ears. I was concerned that I thought as long as I can breathe, I'm okay. And so when my tongue swelled up, I put the glyph behind my ears as well as where the bite was and on my solar plexus. It's a handy thing to have. It really is a handy thing to have. It's also helpful for poison ivy. That's what the little leaves are for. That's something we have here in the United States. I don't know if it's in other countries, but it is I won't say it's a nasty weed. Nothing is nasty. Everything has got a purpose. But it creates in many people a very violent rash. And so this will give some relief. I programmed it for snake bites as well, although I want to say about all of these things, always safeguard it's an emergency situation. Get help. Get help. In the United States here, we have a couple snakes that are deadly. Rattlesnakes and water moccasins are deadly. And if you get a bite by a deadly snake, what I would do is grab the glyph and use it on the way to the hospital or the doctor. Do not take chances. The same if you have a really tremendous reaction from a bee sting that appears like it could be serious. Get help, and like I said, use it on the way to the doctor. So I don't want to encourage anybody to take any chances there. Okay, we'll go on to repair damaged nerve bundles, number 23. On this glyph, I asked for guidance. I wanted to create a glyph for calming. And I created a glyph. The picture was, I think, was given to me, and I was told the exact wording is to have it repair damaged nerve bundles. It's much more than that. There's a whole paragraph, but that I remember distinctly as the words. And when I first used this, and this one you use on your third eye, you could use it on the solar plexus. It's probably not a bad idea, but I felt guided to use it on my third eye. Most everyone has damaged nerve bundles of some type. I put it on my third eye, and I felt very woozy and very dizzy. So when you use this glyph, be close to where you could lay down. Now, I don't have any noticeable nerve damage, but if I felt that much, I'm sure other people will too. And this, and I think I told the story about the man, I told it on the interview tape, but I'm going to tell it again. It's such a great story. This one man had a copy of my book, and when he first opened it, this man was in his 50s, is in his 50s. And he opened it, and he saw that, and he thought, oh, this is great. He'd use that. And so he put it on his third eye, or I believe, and then he felt calm and relaxed, and he felt like a warm wind was blowing through him. He had different experiences. Then he went to bed, and he called me the next morning. He's a friend of mine, and he said, this is embarrassing to talk about, but I've been impotent for years. He was a drug addict, and he abused crystalline amphetamine, I believe it's called, and he said it had damaged him very badly, that he could not focus, he said he had trouble just keeping on his game in life, I believe he said. And he said he'd been impotent for a number of years from this. And he said the next morning after he woke up, he said it was back all the way. He said, I felt like a 20-year-old. So I was kind of amazed, and he wrote a testimonial. If anybody wants to read it, it's on the website under testimonials. He was a little more graphic than I needed him to be, and I was going to remove part of what he wrote. And my son said, oh, Mother, you women are such prudes. So I left it there. So anyway, that one is powerful. There's some people out there who really need that, but I think everybody should use it, because if we're here on this earth, we're going to have some nerve damage from something at some time in our life. So we will go on to headaches.
It's interesting
25.
that it's a sailboat, though, isn't it?
Yes.
It's just interesting.
I wanted it to be about calming, and it wasn't exactly the way I intended it to be, but that was what came out. Okay. Headaches. Now, what this will help some type of headaches. There are so many possible causes of headaches. So absolutely many causes. And this will help some of them. This will remove stagnant electrical energy. We are carrying a lot of stuff in us from just electricity, from our cell phones, from our computers. It will remove all of that. So if that's what's causing the headache, it certainly will help. It will liquefy any stagnated mucus in the sinus cavities. So if you use it and your nose starts running afterward, that's what that's all about. The one thing about headaches, if people out there who get migraines or headaches often, one of the common causes they may not realize is MSG. And it is so cleverly disguised in food nowadays. They hide it under natural flavors and hydrolyzed yeast, all different things. If you get headaches, you would be wise to try to follow a very strict diet of organic food and stay away from anything that might have any chemical additives, because all those things could be causing headaches, especially if you get them frequently, or if you've ever noticed you could get them shortly after a meal. And another thing that may be causing them is wheat. You may have a sensitivity to wheat and not know it, and I just wanted to add those things because a lot of people have problems with headaches. Okay, we'll go on to the next one, course, correct, and alignment. And I'm going to tell you quite frankly, I'm not sure what this is all about. I was at the neighbor lady's house, and she's a psychic surgeon, and she said, you need one for course, correct, and alignment. And I wish I had what she wrote, but it wasn't very long. It's all just about correcting you on your divine course and in alignment. And I asked Source later on, I said, is that something we need? Did she give me something that's valid? And I got it, yes, definitely. So this will help keep you on course and keep you aligned. And I'm grateful that she gave it to us, and I think I should probably use it more often. Sometimes I get off track, so that's probably a good thing to use. And then general balancing, and I got this one from a healing modality called Body Talk, where they do a general balancing function on you. And I wish I had the whole readout, but it will balance different parts of your brain and align you. This one you should use often. When they do Body Talk, every time they do a different function, they use this one again. Use the general balancing one once a month too. It will align different parts of the brain and keep you more in focus. So we will move to love frequency. Well, I have a story to tell with this too. I got this one from the idea of this one from that movie, What the Bleep? What is that? What the Bleep is Going On, I believe it's called.
Yes, What the Bleep Do We Know? Mm-hmm.
Right. What the Bleep Do We? Yes, right. And so it talked about love receptors, and I thought, okay, I'm going to create a glyph that every cell is a love receptor. And so I created it, and I got it after I finished it. One evening, my husband and I were supposed to go to a Toastmasters dinner at somebody's house, and I had a headache and I couldn't go. And so he went by himself, and he got lost, and he could not find their house. And he came home, and he was so angry. He was so upset. He was angry at them. They didn't give good directions. He was just ranting and raving. And while he was ranting and raving, I cut this out, and I put it on his heart chakra. And he said to me, "What did you do?" I wanted to be angry. It really calmed him down. And one of the people who bought a copy of the book, she put them on the backs of her dining room chairs. And she said it sure made a difference in the atmosphere of their house. So it does have a very, and it's great
Thanksgiving.
on, and it does have a great effect on dogs too. I have a little dog. I have a little dog who is, she resents, it's a female, and she resents her, I'll call him her brother. And she doesn't even want to be in the same room with him. And when my ex-husband came to visit my other dog, Roscoe, he'd go and sleep with him. Well, Jessie didn't want to go in there because she resented Roscoe. She doesn't even want to eat with him. She has to eat out on the porch because she doesn't want to eat in the same room. So I put the glyph for resentment and this one here for love on her for 2 nights in a row. And on the 3rd night, she was in there sleeping with Roscoe and my ex-husband, Dean. She gave up all that resentment thing. And I thought, why didn't I do that sooner? That is great. Try these on animals. They work so well. And the ones on emotional issues, too. Animals also have emotional issues. And that one on heartache and abundance, heartache and abandonment, if you ever have a rescue dog that has been abandoned, that is so helpful to them because they really have abandonment issues. So use all those different emotional healing glyphs on your pets as well. Okay, let's get back, go on to reaching out, number 50. Okay, now this is a glyph you can use to help others. This glyph, what it will do, you can take the glyph, cut it out, put it in a place where it won't be disturbed on the top of a bookcase somewhere. And then you put down the name of the person that you want this glyph to help. And every day it will work on one thing. It will remove fear from that person. The next day it will remove resentment from that person. And the next day it will remove sadness. And it will keep going through a cycle of about 10 different glyphs on that person. And it will help them in a subtle way. Now, you cannot override somebody's free will. But it will give them a gentle healing effect. And after the 6 weeks, if you feel there's more needed, you go ahead and tell the glyph to run its course again. You can do it as often as you want and as many people as you want. That's one way we can do to help others as long as we're not interfering. Okay, we will go on with helping people of the world. Lauren, I've got to take a 1-minute break here. We're having a thunderstorm and I have my windows open on the ceiling of the house. It won't take me 1 minute to close that, okay?
Wonderful. Okay, we'll give everyone...
Lauren, you there?
Yes, 60 seconds,
okay, yeah.
everyone. Sure.
Okay. Okay.
All righty. Everyone can stretch as well. We'll be back in a moment.
Okay, I'm back when everybody's ready.
All righty.
Yeah, I have these windows that are on the roof, and I don't have air conditioning here. I live in the mountains, so I have my opening and closing windows is my air conditioner.
That's wonderful.
So this particular, at one time I was asked by the divine, how will you get these out to people? And I said, well, I could write a book. And then I was asked, well, how about the people who cannot read? And I don't know, I was given these words to say that to put out, make a glyph, to reach out and help the people of the world, to free them from the bondage of those who would use them for their gains, to fill the earth with peace and harmony and love. And so I designed that glyph for that. And what I also, my intention was, is to have some kind of a pendant people could wear. So at every beat of the heart, we would send out healing energy to people of the earth and to the earth herself, because we are part of the earth. So what I tell people to do is wear that over their heart chakra. And some people have it laminated where they do that. And I even had that put on some t-shirts so people could wear it on t-shirts. The next one is a sever agreement of pain. This was kind of an interesting thing. I don't remember what issues I had, but I was going to this one psychic healer. I've always been good at running around looking for psychic healers. And she said that there was a woman I worked with that somehow we had this past life relationship and our problems were tied together somehow. And I've heard of this before, but I didn't really understand. But what I was told is sometimes people in a past life, let's say you're all in the chain gang, or you're in the mines in some type of slave labor where there's a lot of suffering, and you take a pact where you all agree to suffer and die together, or whatever is appropriate in that lifetime. And that stays with a person. That literally can stay with a person. And so I created that to free people of, this is actually similar to the one for vows. And that can free a person from this vow or their agreement to suffer with another person. I was told at one time that I made in a past life, I was starving to death in a prison, and I said, God, if you love me, please let me die. And I was told, even in this lifetime, I was still holding that thought. So sometimes we can have something that can be hanging over from past lives, and that's why severing the agreement of pain and the releasing vows can be a very meaningful glyph to use. So then we remove blocks to memory, number 56. Now when I first created this glyph, and I put them on the bottoms of my feet, I took a whole page of them and cut them out. And that was one of those things that I had to get up in the middle of the night and take it off because it was doing so much. It was just really powerful. And I thought, boy, I'll just remember everything. I was really disappointed. The next day I didn't feel I was any different at all. So it just shows how there is so much there, and it takes time for it all to come off. So this is another one, even though you don't feel it doing anything or you feel it doing a lot, you will use it often. I've now reached the point where I do remember a lot of different things from past lives. And I think we have to just trust that we will be allowed to remember what we need to at the right time. If we suddenly were faced with a whole bunch of stuff, it would probably be overwhelming. So I think that if we just get little glimpses and pieces now and then, that's probably just fine.
And that looks like the south of
Go on
China
to number 6.
in ancient times.
Yes, actually, it does. I got that little Chinese coolie hat, although I was actually thinking when I was going to visit the mountains in Peru.
Oh.
But the hat does look like a Chinese coolie hat. Doesn't matter because we've been there. We've been all these places. I was told I helped build Machu Picchu. Well, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Okay, removing entities. There are a lot of issues we can have in life that are caused by attached entities, and this is another glyph that you need to read what it says, where you call on Archangel Michael and his legion of protectors to remove any entities, take them over the veil, and seal the portal against their return. It's important you follow that step, because there are times that entities can be removed and they can come back unless you get some assistance in removing them. There are a lot of entities that can be very powerful, and you need help with that, and this will show you how to call for that help. This is another good thing. One woman, there are people who workshop my books. They make a great workshop, and it's a very win-win-win situation. But one of them wrote me, she said a woman had a cat that was urinating all over the bed and really destructive, and she didn't know what she didn't want to get rid of the cat. She loved the cat, and so they looked at a picture of a room, and her name was Sakara, and Sakara looked at the picture and she could see all kinds of dark energy in the room. And so she took 5 of these glyphs, and she put 1 in each corner of the room and 1 in the center of the room. And within a couple of days, the cat was acting completely normal again. When they took another picture, the dark energy was gone, and she said the cat would play with the glyphs. It would poke at him, and for some reason. The cat was fine. The woman said she slept better, and everything was peaceful. So I had some rental property, and I went and put them in every room of the rental property. I thought, well, there's nothing to lose there. So this has a multiple purpose there. It's really good at getting rid of those little pesky little entities. Okay, we'll go on with cellular repair. Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one. This, and it works in all 3 layers. It can help. Let's say you cut your finger. It can help speed the healing. It can also help in torn ligaments. And I received an email from a lady in Florida who said that she had a torn rotator cuff. And it happened at work, and she was receiving physical therapy for weeks. And finally, when she was released to go back to work, she said that she was still in a lot of pain. She said she put that glyph on, and she said it was almost miraculous. She said, no, it was miraculous. It helped that right away. So this also can help speed broken bones, but goodness, get it set first if it's broken, you know. But it can help any part of the body that has any damage to it. It's a powerful glyph. It really helps, and I've used it many times, and I've used it on my pets many times too. Well, we're going to look at number 1, that this is a clearing of the meridians. This is one that you can use it like put it between your hands. Another way is if you have a headache and you lay your head on it, you have a meridian, a bladder meridian, I believe it is, that runs through your ear that can help unblock that. So it can be used in a number of places. Put it over the solar plexus. It will help clear any blockages of meridians. 1 at a time. That's what I've got, about 1.5 pages of programming in that one.
Good.
Okay,
well,
now.
There are a few questions.
I've got some questions.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got some too. How about you first? You first.
Oh, you've got questions.
Yes, I did. I've got, yes. People have written me and asked me questions.
You've got questions. Let's start with your questions if you've got them ready.
Okay. One question, can they be put in a plastic bag? Yes, I don't see a problem. If you have a little tiny baggie and you put that in there, I'm sure the energy goes right through. I have on occasion used this clear packing tape, that wide clear packing tape, and that's great at protecting them. It doesn't seem to interfere with the energy. Another question I have is, which way do they face? I put the picture toward the body, but I have found it doesn't. If I have one that I've got, I can put one between my hands, and I can feel the energy going down both my arms. So it doesn't seem to matter, but I always tell people the picture faces the body. And then someone says, how long does it take for them to work? Okay, now if you've got a first aid kit that has about 30 different things in, how long does it take for any of them to work? That's really a difficult question because you've got 30 different things. That one man, it healed him of his problem overnight. But I will say this man was completely open. He was completely like, oh, here I am, I'm open and I'm being healed, and that's fine. The detox one is going to take much longer, and then how long are the toxins, or how much have you got in your body? So there's no way you can answer how long is it going to take. But if you're asking how long it's going to take, you've got a problem with patience, letting go, and trying to control things. So that's a good viral skin and wart question. Okay, someone's got that virus one should work. And this, I'm going to couple this with the next question, fungus under the nails. Okay, if you have a skin problem, like a viral skin problem, and the fungus under the nails, you have a body that is too acid. And you probably also have candida. What I recommend, first of all, that person go and the internet and look up candida diet and start following a candida diet, because that is typical of an over-acid body. For the fungus under the nails, oil of oregano will work well. There's a glyph in the second book for candida that would work helpful too, but oil of oregano is a powerful thing that can, again, if you're going to use oil of oregano, it's very powerful. Be very careful, because don't get any on your hand, on your finger, and then get it in your eye or something. It's very powerful, and it would cause a great deal of discomfort. The viral skin, that may work on that too. That should work on that too. The glyph, the glyph they want for that is actually in the second book, but the one for bacterial things, that would probably work on the viral skin problem too. The wart question, again, that's probably in the second book. I don't know what in the first book that I would use for that. Okay, those are my questions.
Good. Okay, well, we have a couple here. Let's see. What about hepatitis C?
That's one of those things that is a stubborn. There are viruses that mutate, and so that's one where you would want to wear a glyph a long time, on a regular basis. And what I recommend, even when you've got the ebook, the nice thing about it is you can go and get these Avery t-shirt transfer labels and iron these glyphs onto a piece of cloth. And for that, I would recommend getting something like an old white piece of a bed sheet. I do not recommend a knitted fabric that stretches, because that's going to ruin if it stretches, it's going to ruin the shape. As soon as the image deteriorates, it will not be effective anymore. So if you can iron them on, just follow the directions. You'll find it at your business supply store. Because if you have the glyphs on a piece of material, like a whole page, like that, then you can use them on a regular basis, and I would not be fussy and worry about laundering them. If you're putting them over your heart chakra or your solar plexus, just wear them until they look like they're deteriorating, because these glyphs these images that you iron on, they don't hold up real well. They don't. It's kind of t-shirt idea. It looks fine when it's brand new and you wash it a couple of times and that's it. So they don't launder well, but they really are comfortable. They're much more comfortable than wearing a piece of paper. So you want to be able to have that glyph next to your body as often, as much as you can. And a couple of weeks, just like if you were taking a prescription drug, if you were taking an antibiotic, that they would tell you a week, 10 days, 2 weeks, whatever, and they would tell you a long time. And it's certainly better. It's worth a try. When all these glyphs, I don't guarantee anything, because so much of it is in the hands of why do you have this? What is the lesson you have to learn from this? What do you need to let go of in your life for why it's there? So all of these things, if you have a serious situation or a difficult illness, ask to be guided to understand why it's there. Ask to be guided how to resolve it. Ask to be guided, show me the book, show me the person, show me the technique, show me the way, and you will be.
Okay. All right. There's a couple regarding eyes. One is a 13-year-old girl needs a cornea transplant, and this is a granddaughter, can this woman use this remotely, and her own eye needs healing as well.
Then we're going into the second book. There is a glyph. A lot of you already have the second book. I saw them coming in there. There's one called Clear Vision that can heal a number of eye problems. That I can't tell you I'm going to tell you about a little something different to show an example. You can take that glyph and intend it work in any way you want. Remember, you are divine. The glyph has intelligence. There's the one that's called reaching out, which I meant for people to be reaching out and helping people. One woman said that she would put things on that page of glyphs that she wanted to sell. She's another one who workshops the books. She would put the stack on there and she'd say, I want you to reach out and find the people who are going to own these books. And it worked. And it has to be simply her power of intention. I did not program that into the glyph. She did. So you can literally take these glyphs and program them to be the way you want them to be, because you are divine and you have the power to do that. So the thing to remember is there is no such thing as impossible. Anything is possible. Anything can be done. I'm not guaranteeing this will do it, but why not? Why not? We have the power of God. We need to believe in that power.
Okay.
So if they have a copy of the second book, I would certainly use it and do it remotely. That's fine.
Okay. The second book is The Sacred Symbols of Light, and Jean's website is holygroundfarm.org. And so real quick here, there is a table of contents that we can show for some of those things in book 2. And the ebook is good. Again, we can show that ebook where people can print each of those pages, and you can take a strip and use them any way that people like. What about for body weight? A couple questions on body weight. 10, 20 pounds?
Okay. I get this a lot. People say, do you have a glyph to help people lose weight? One of the reasons people eat or overeat or eat rich foods is to comfort themselves. And the reason for that is when they're eating and they feel full, they feel satisfied, and they feel comforted, and that's why they call it comfort food. And what they need for that is to use those emotional healing glyphs. Those overweight is a symptom. This is a symptom of emotional problems. So they need to go back to the emotional healing glyphs.
Okay. Again, there's one for past lives. And you may have touched on that a little bit. Again, it seems like it's the pain and the issues from the past lives. But Jean, what would you say about, are people just going to remove past lives without being aware of them?
Remove pain and sadness, or and the one, like I said, horror and terror. And what came to my mind, what immediately came to my mind, at some past life during the Inquisition, I was tortured or whatever, and maybe we've had several lives in the past Inquisition that you could say were terror or horror, and it removes that that feeling of that, you know, buried deep within feeling of horror. And I think these people who make some of these movies, they must have a lot of that in there. I wanted to touch, when we finished the questions, I wanted to talk a little bit about this emotional, the acutapping, emotional field therapy. And we might even throw a page of the book up there about that.
Sure.
You have more questions?
There's one here about a rare genetic metabolic disorder. It seems like sometimes people could work with you in sessions where you can advise them of the combinations of these.
Right. Now, genetic things, and oftentimes people use that, and I don't hate to use the word excuse, but they have an issue, and I think we've all met people who wear their disease, you know, who, oh, well, it's hereditary, it's hereditary, and I'm not putting them down or trying to judge them, but if once you believe in reincarnation, somehow that doesn't hold a lot of water. This glyph that from ancestry, removing the things from ancestors, that can help with those genetic problems, but we have to be willing to let it go. Again, we are divine and anything is possible. And if you have some illness and your grandfather had it, and your great-grandfather and your great-great-grandfather had this illness also, you may have been your great-great-grandfather. So then who do you blame? A lot of people, like for example, Lois Grant, who wrote a book on, she healed herself of rheumatoid arthritis. And she said that when she was regressed, that she had rheumatoid arthritis for the last 400 lifetimes of the last 400 years. My ex-husband had glaucoma for the last 6 lifetimes. So we may have an illness over and over again until we learn what it is we've chosen to learn. So as soon as we say genetic, then again, this is a time when you say to your guides or God or whoever you prefer to call it, I want the answer. I want to be shown the way. I want the book, the person, the place. I want to be shown how to resolve this issue in my life for once and for all. And if I don't get the picture, hit me with a 2x4 until I get it. Because we can be healed. There is no one who, if they choose to, if they are looking for the answer, that will not be given the answer.
Okay. There's a couple technical, well, not technical. One is interesting on, let's start with the color or black and white. What if someone does not have a color printer? Does the color matter?
We always told them, yes, have a color printer. But people have written me and said it works in black and white.
Mm.
So I say, remember, just intend it works. Intend every glyph works. Seems to work fine for a lot of people.
I liked what you said about the time and releasing the time. That's pretty important too. Okay,
Right.
what about the image? In some of these glyphs, there were little images in the corner. I'll bring one up. What can you say more about the images in the corner?
That's the name of God in Hebrew. I have that on every glyph except the focus one has the Hebrew letters for just meaning to focus on something. But this is the name of God in Hebrew. I just wanted it to make sure there's no doubt that this is coming from God. I was guided to do that, and I'm glad I did do it, because some of these glyphs are very powerful. And as long as they're coming from God, I don't think the FDA can knock on my door and take me away. So this is just our connection with God.
Now, what about counteracting radiation? A woman's daughter and her children live in Japan.
Yes, and I meant to, who is the name that channels the Hathors?
Tom Kenyon?
Tom Kenyon channels the Hathors, and he comes out with a newsletter every now and then. And he got something from the Hathors on how you could take a glass of water and empower it to heal you of this radiation. I would go to his website and look that up, and you will find it with ease. He's got all the information there. It's also in, I'm trying to remember if I do have it in one of the glyphs, but right now I don't remember which one it is. I also have it on a pendant that we have too.
And there's also a number. I'll share this with everyone too. Let me bring this up. Jean, have you heard of Grigory Grabovoi, Russian, working with numbers, channeled numbers, frequency? So this is the pattern for radiation. This is good for putting on your cell phones.
So, let me write that down. I'll write that one down.
Yeah, just a helpful number.
I do have in the second book something to put on the cell phones, but I'm going to write that down. And you just put that number on your cell phone and your cordless phones, and that's good to
glass of water.
Know.
You could put that on the glass of water.
You could. That's very good. Wonderful. What was his name?
Grigory Grabovoi. Very interesting. You can go and learn more about him. Sadly, he is behind bars in Russia. Anyhow, he's very interesting. I think he was running for president at one point, so I guess they found a way to kind of stop him. But he's got wonderful numbers. So,
all
right, there's that. Another question is the brain damage or healing the brain after a stroke, even in animals.
Yes, I had an incident with that same dog I was talking about, Jessie. And Jessie, after we adopted her from the Humane Society, she would get car sick every time we would go just even to the bottom of our mountain road. And so I tried writing a couple glyphs to balance her equilibrium, and I did want to emulate the frequency of Dramamine, which can be done with a glyph. You can emulate the frequency of a medication. And that worked and fine if I held it on her, but as soon as I put her in the back with her brother Roscoe, she would get sick again. So finally I said, what can I do to heal Jessie of her problem? And I was told that she had brain damage from starvation and dehydration as a puppy, and that I could create a glyph that would heal her, but I would have to know what part of her brain was damaged. And I said, well, how do I get that? Do I dowse? And the answer I got was, I will ask you, I will tell you if you ask. And so there's a good lesson there. We need to ask. Always ask for what you want. So I said, well, I'm asking. So I was told it was a cerebellum. So I created a glyph to heal her cerebellum. And we put it on a dog. Their crown chakra is right between the ears. And I put it on her crown chakra, and we had it on her every night. When I put it there, you could see her from her eyes. Something was going on. But we put it on every night for 2 weeks, and she was about 90% better. We put it on her another 2 weeks, and that dog has not gotten sick for at least 5-6 years. It was just amazing. And so I went on to take that glyph and carry it further like a computer program, like if not then this, if not then this. And I go and look at this part of the brain, if it needs healing, and it's a whole page of different, if not then this, then do this, then do this. That should heal any area of the brain. I meant to put that in the second book, and somehow it got left out. So I have told people, I've already sent one to one person who asked it for me for their grandchild. And if somebody has a need for it, if they have someone who's got a problem, I will be glad to send that to them if they have copies of both the books. I would love to see this tried with these football players who get injured, and that turns into a fatal problem when they encounter that injury. I'm sorry, but as far as I'm concerned, we don't need football when we're having people who have brain injuries. But I would love to be able to see this opened up to Western medicine, where they could try to help these young people that are end up dying from these brain injuries.
So people have some questions.
Put his name down there. Thank you.
Okay. Some people have questions on the ebook that was included with this webinar. That is in an email. We'll be sure to send you another email with that download link for that ebook. And Jean, some ask, is the book the same, the ebook the same as the hard copy book?
Yes.
Yes, exactly the same.
The only difference is the hard copy book, I have multiple numbers of pages on the first book. I have like 2 pages of every glyph, the patch page, and I have some even 4. My intention was that they could cut out the pages of the book, but it got so that people didn't want to cut into the book, and they preferred to make copies of them. So the second book also was very big and heavy. And the second book, I just have 1 copy, and they can just make copies on their printer. Or I do have a page in there where they can take it to the print place that will say that they're authorized to make copies of that with their receipt.
Okay.
But they are the same, yes.
All right. What about someone who's using the paper glyphs overnight and getting a rash on the skin?
From the glyph?
Yeah, they're sensitive.
Yes, this is why I take I don't like to use the paper on my skin. Sometimes I do. I'm okay with it on my solar plexus, but on my back it really bothers me. So I take the glyph and I wrap it in a piece of cotton cloth.
Okay.
And that's another reason why the glyphs are handy when you print them on a piece of cloth.
Okay, great. What about these for menopausal symptoms and endometriosis?
that would be going into the second book. There's one for the female reproductive system, so that would be one they would use from the second book.
Yes, that second book, again, the table of contents here, you can get that at holygroundfarm.org. Spleen, lungs, yeah, lots of stuff.
Right.
Teeth.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Pain relief from bruised muscles. That would be the last question.
Pain relief from bruised muscles. I've found let's say you exert yourself. Let's say you do too much from exercising. We got I'm going to answer two different things here. If you over-exercise or you strain something, the detox glyph really works well for that, and it works fast too. If you're just been working hard and your back's hurting, if you take a page to that detox glyph and you just lay down on it for 15 minutes, it does amazingly well. For bruises, that number 73, that red little patch there, that works well on bruises. It works amazing. If you get a bump and you can put that on there as soon as you can, that really helps a lot. And in some cases, I can remember where I had I really hit my arm really bad where I just got probably a bruise on the bone. I couldn't see anything yet, but I put it on there, and when I did, it hurt. There's something you need to know. When you put the one on an injury, that glyph, it will hurt more when you speed up healing. And it hurt tremendously. Nothing that I could deal with it, but I just put it on there, and I could tell from the way it hurt, it was really doing a lot. You'll feel when it feels something, it's doing something. And as it turned out, the next day there was no bruise at all. In spite of a tremendous whack I got on my arm, it ended up with no bruise at all.
Okay, there's a couple questions here on spiritual growth, and what about using these for developing intuition and healing abilities in a person, in addition to the meridian and chakra glyphs?
Oh, I think using those emotional healing glyphs, when I started with this, I did not know why I was here, what my mission was, and I don't know that I didn't care about what I was helping anybody else. As I continued to use them, it was all of a sudden the light was coming in, and from going to where I didn't know how to love anyone, I don't know anything but love. And so I would say regular use of the emotional healing glyphs will get you to the point that those things will just open up for you.
All right, and in working with animals, how do you keep the glyphs attached to the animals?
Well, a lot depends upon their hair. Now, I have short-haired dogs, and like I'm putting some on my older dog. He's got an arthritic condition. At night, I'm putting, I pile them on top there, and I put them on the back. In the book, there's pictures of the chakras for the dog, and I put them on the back. If you have a long-haired cat or dog, then you really need to do it remotely, because I don't know any way you're going to get that glyph to stay on their long hair. So I would go ahead and I would put that, cut the glyph out, put a little note telling what you want the glyph to do, and then intend it, do it. And this is where you need to work with your power of intention. Believe in your power there. But it doesn't, I would say the back is where you want to put them, because it's easier to work on their back than it would be on their stomach. But I had one incident where my dog came home and she was holding her back paw in the air. And I manifested this. One time I was concerned when she wasn't home, and I was afraid she'd be caught in an animal trap. So I manifested that. But nevertheless, there she was with her paw in the air. And I thought, well, maybe it's just sprained and it would go away in a day or two, but it didn't. So I took her to the vet, and she had some bad breaks in her foot. There were about 2 or 3 places, and he said that an orthopedic surgeon would be challenged with that. And so I took and empowered a piece of cloth, and then it has to have a pattern on, empowered it to do the same thing that 73 will do. So you could actually have a 73 on a piece of cloth. And I wrapped it around her leg. And that broken bones were healed in 2 weeks. That's pretty good.
That's really good for feet. Yes.
For broken bones, yes.
Okay,
So,
there's so many more questions coming in, Jean. I'm going to give you one more, and then we're going to let you do another, the other part that you wanted to do with the tapping and such. And then if we have time, we'll come back. So what would you recommend for a heart attack?
Cayenne pepper. But if a person, if a person's having a heart attack, a cayenne pepper can save a person from a heart attack. But let's say we're talking about after the heart attack, okay? After the heart has been damaged. This week, go back to the second book. Go to the second book, because that has one that will repair the heart. But I would, if you only have the first book, I would go with that Glyph 73. I would go, if that's all you have as the first book, I would use that same one, that healing damaged tissue. Just put it on the back of put about 4 of them on the back of the heart chakra.
As you said earlier, use your intuition too, wherever you feel and sense.
Right.
And
yes, always, right.
Go ahead.
You're right. I would say if you're working with them and suddenly you get an idea to put it someplace, and it may seem strange, do it anyway. If you're doing something and it says put it, if you just put it on the back of your big toe, put it on the back of your big toe. The bottom of the big toe is a point for the pituitary gland. So you may get a strange idea, go with it. Go with it. You are always being guided. Every one of you is always being guided.
Okay. All right, so now we'll give you a moment, or as you need, so we can finish your part of how we would use these as well, or the other portion that you wanted to discuss.
Right. I just wanted to take, and that's in that first book. I don't know if you can bring that up. The emotional field therapy appendix. I'm not sure which appendix number that is. But there's a type of healing type called emotional field therapy. It's also nicknamed acutapping, where you can tap on different points of your body to let go of emotions that you are feeling. Now, this will work with emotions that you can bring into your present thoughts. Let's say like a fear of snakes or bugs. I'm going to tell you one story about this right there. Appendix D, acutapping, emotional release technique, it's called. Thought field therapy. And if you also will find plenty of this on on YouTube, each one will do it a little different. This is, I go the easy route. And where you tap, okay, let's say you are afraid of snakes, all right? You would tap on your collarbone where that point is there, and you tap on your collarbone a half a dozen times, and then you would say a statement like, in spite of my fear of snakes, I accept myself completely the way I am. Then you would tap under the eye, and it doesn't matter which eye, and say, fear of snakes. Collarbone, you tap a few times, fear of snakes. And then under the arm about where your bra strap is. And I was always saying the left arm, but other people seem to say it doesn't matter. But that left arm is over the spleen meridian, so you say fear of snakes. And you go through that 3 times, 2 more times. Under the eye, fear of snakes. under the collarbone, fear of snakes, and under the arm, fear of snakes. You do that 3 times, and that will give you a great relief. It tells a technique in here. It talks about just where you are on a 1 to 0, 0 to 10, where your fear is. I know one lady I was working with fear of snakes, and I said, where are you on a 1 to 10? She said 35. So, and it did help her, and she felt such a shift, it made her dizzy. But there was a little boy, there was a man and his children camping here one time, and the father and his 6-year-old daughter jumped in the pond to swim, and the boy, the 10-year-old boy, was afraid to because of those spiders that were kind of skimming across the top of the water. So I started working with him, tapping on the fear of spiders, and halfway through he just jumped in the water. So it's amazing what this can do for you. But it has to be an emotion you feel right then. This is not for very emotional emotions you don't know are there. This is good for phobias, or for anger, or for sadness you feel that at that time that's in your present. And even something that it was from your past. Suppose in kindergarten you wet your pants, and now you look back and you realize, well, that's okay, I was only 4 or 5 years old, but the pain and the humiliation and the ridicule and all that emotion still hurts. It's still in there. And so if you think about that occasion and you think of the feeling that hurts, and then you tap on that feeling, it will help tremendously.
Good. I want to show also your suggested reading list. You said earlier that Louise Hay's book is a recommendation as well.
Yes, yes. I don't know. Yes, oh, I have it in there. Louise Hay. It's a really handy little book because it helps the mental find out the emotional cause. So many people are trying to heal, and I get all the time, how do I heal? And they've got some physical issue. And they want a silver bullet, and they don't understand, and it's important. This book helps you to understand for every illness there is an emotional cause. And if you heal the illness, like cancer's one, it's very possible to be healed of cancer, but then it comes back because you have not healed the cause. So this little booklet helps you a great deal in order to understand. And of course, it's not 100% perfect. You may read this and think, well, I don't have that issue. Well, maybe you do and maybe you don't. Maybe you're in denial. But nevertheless, it sometimes can give you pointers on what to look at yourself that you need to work on. And the others are just great books. Barbara Marciniak her work is classic, and Patricia Corey is also.
And as we're talking about Barbara Marciniak, I find it very interesting that we talked about this in our healing conversation, that she does not have health insurance. And so it's just interesting because we're not saying for anyone to get rid of their health insurance. What we're doing with this is opening up everyone's minds, if we're open to it, to just play with this energy work. It really is subtle energy work, and it brings in your intuition, well, your intent for healing. So I love here, too, that you've got the Masaru Emoto's work, because we did talk about water earlier. And you know, I would think that these glyphs would work wonderful on water, on a water jug that you could charge.
Oh, yes, I do that, yes. Right. I have a whole page of the love glyph, and we missed one, talking about one, number 83. Somehow I missed that when I sent you that list. And I put those underneath. I've got one of those big crock type where I put ionized water in, and they're going to are stuck to the side. I have little things stuck to the side of the crock as well, which I even have Reiki symbols and you know, whatever comes to you. It's great. but the glyphs are great on different things like that.
Great. And so I want to make sure what you sent me, Dr. Jean, is so cool that we're going to put that up on a download link for people, because it really is like, it's just a nice little combination of what we talked about today. It's the notes really from this webinar. We'll make it visually appealing. I'll show you that real quick. Here this is, right? So we'll just bring this up for everyone. The slide 2, like right here, 2, 5, 6, 7, 13, 18. These are what you would use to get rid of this resentment. This is the Ho'oponopono forgiveness technique. And this brings up another question that came up. Is there a limit to how many you could use on your body?
I suggest starting a little slow. At first I was stacking them all over, and I remember one night I had a lot on my husband, and that night he went to a movie, and he said when he got home he wasn't sure he would be able to get out of the car. And I've had other people tell me that they felt really woozy. One man said he put about 4 or 5 on his back, and then the next morning he almost fell over. So it won't harm. You're working with energy. It's moving a lot of energy. You may want to start slow, but after you get used to it, you can put more on. But I wouldn't just pile a whole bunch on right away, and then when you have to get up and go to work the next morning. I think I would just start with just 1 or 2 at a time. And then sometimes I will use 4 on, on the back of the heart chakra, because I want to make sure I'm covering that spot. And sometimes I might even use a whole page on my abdomen, just if I have having a issue with that. I may use more than just 1 or 4 at a time. It depends upon what the issue is. It's certainly the detox one, like I said, you would use 4 of them underneath the rib cage or the spleen. So I would just start slow and then work your way up and do whatever's comfortable.
And so there's a couple of conditions here that people are asking about. That could be also in your book too, but also it seems like you have this basic recipe where you start with the detox, for example, like Lyme disease or leaky gut, those sorts of conditions, or even candida. Again, from the book, would you just go through that process then, use a little bit of maybe the skin one? Any recommendations?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that skin one, that question, I don't know if I mentioned the viral skin, that oil of oregano may help that too. But there is a skin one in the second book that should be helpful, and I would have to read its programming statement. One thing about the book and the way they're programmed, I can change things at any time and increase, I will think of something that will come to me. I was getting ready to give a talk at church, and I was laying in bed, and I thought, why do I feel uneasy about this? And I realized the thought came to me what was bothering me, and it was a phrase, not good enough. I felt like I was not good enough. So I did some tapping on it, and then I went and added that to one of the glyphs and re-empowered it, that feeling that we are not good enough. It is so common. And so if I get something, and the same with Louise Hayes, she had in her book 3 things that were cause of disease, or that they're most powerful. One was fear, resentment, and the third was criticism. And the book was already out, and I thought, oh my gosh, I haven't got criticism. And so I went back and added that to one of the glyphs. So I'm continually upgrading them, and then all of a sudden I got in touch with Saint Germain, and he agreed to have an aspect of himself with the books and with all the glyphs. So I went back and added all of that again. And then Archangel Raphael did the same thing with his blue light. So I'm continuing to add these things as time goes by.
Okay, a quick question. The back of the heart chakra, where is that? Well, I guess it says where it is. It's the back of the heart, right? Did we answer that question?
Yeah, it would.
So,
Yeah. If you think about your heart chakra, the heart chakra, and it's slightly about the line of the nipple, or very slightly above, and then directly behind that. And if for the ladies, your bra strap would be right over it.
okay. Kidney dialysis,
If
is there a glyph that could...
someone's working with
Oh, excuse me. Go ahead.
kidney dialysis, well, I was going to say, if someone is working with you, or if you take your hand and put it over a dog, you will feel heat where his chakras are. And if you have somebody put their hand over your back, and you've got, especially if you have clothing on, it helps accentuate that spot. There will be heat where every chakra is. Now, the kidney dialysis, one of the things people want to help someone who's really been well along in an illness. And oftentimes, just like someone wanted me, they said, well, my brother has a pacemaker, what can we do for him? Well, if someone has, in this particular case, if someone has abused their body for years, we cannot, it's difficult to go back and try to repair what they've done. I don't know the condition or the reason of kidney dialysis. If it's a child and a condition they're born with, I think there's more opportunities for help. Later on in life, there's definitely a glyph for the kidney, and it can repair the kidney. The one for the heart can definitely repair the heart. And so it's worth a try putting that one on a kidney that is diseased enough to need dialysis. Certainly it's worth a try. Oh, there's one, I have to tell you quickly, there's one story, a woman who had a dog that the vet wanted to put it to sleep. The dog would just stand there and tremble, and it could not even function. And the person that worked with her dowsed it and found that she should put the detox glyph on the kidney. And she did, and that healed the dog. Kidney problems are so common in animals. Put that detox glyph on the back of your dogs and cats' kidneys, because that pet food is so full of toxic matter.
What about for smoking? Smoking addiction is what this says here.
Addiction. Again, the emotional healing glyph. You have to love yourself enough to take care of your body. You must love yourself. It's any other, just the same with weight. When you love yourself enough and you recognize, we are divine. We are a temple of God, and we must love that temple and take care of that. This is our vehicle in this lifetime, and we need to be kind and loving to ourselves. Oftentimes, we actually we don't care. We actually feel bad enough inside that we don't care that we're smoking. We don't care if we die. We say, oh, well, I have to die somewhere anyway, because they don't love themselves. And so this is where these emotional healing glyphs are so important.
Okay, how about one for ease in breathing? I've always been a shallow breather, from Homea.
I'm afraid I have the same problem, and I'm afraid that takes practice. And I've heard of people going to different classes on breathing. That's probably not a bad idea. I don't know the best way to overcome the shallow breathing habit, because I have that myself, and I ask my guides, and that's probably a good thing, is ask them to remind you, and maybe spend some time working and training yourself. But just tell your guides, I want you to tap me on the shoulder and tell me when I'm not breathing deep enough. And just take some time every day to just stop and think, okay, let's get our breath in, because people who don't breathe deep enough will find themselves getting very tired.
Working with all these questions, if we don't get to your question, feel free to email Jean at holygroundfarm.org. Okay, let's see. What about growing teeth?
I'm experimenting with that one. I'm told it can be done. That's what I'm told. It can be done. So I'm experimenting with that myself. I still have all the roots, but that's about it for a lot of my teeth. Unfortunately, though my parents loved me when I was raised, that was not an important factor of standing there and making kids brush their teeth. But I would like to replace a couple that have abscessed, and I control the abscess with a glyph, but I want to, just out of an experiment, to show it can be done. So I'm working on that one, but I know it can be done. I mean, like I said, nothing is impossible. The word impossible needs to be removed from our vocabulary.
Yes, absolutely. So good. That could be the end of crowns, too. Wonderful.
I'm sorry, that's the way it is.
Let's see. Let's see. I'm going to try to get to everything. What about bipolar disorder, highs and lows in moods?
Number 30, that brain one, wait a minute, 30 is balancing. General balancing, the emotional healing ones, and the general balancing, and the course correct and alignment, and repair damaged nerve bundles. That's out of the first book. There's more in the second book that will work with that. But those, I would use all of those. The general balancing, repair damaged nerve bundles, course correct and alignment, and the emotional healing.
Yes, there's so much in here to do that, you know, again, people, we want to remind them to take it slowly and experiment with this. And yes, enjoy the process here. Really, it seems really fantastic. And perhaps we'll come back later and do a second one where we can go even deeper for those who've taken this webinar. So that's interesting. We do look forward to all of your feedback over time. And one last question here. Is there anything, what about corns on the feet?
Corns are caused by hardened thinking. That is an emotional problem. So again, I would refer you to Louise Hay, and she'll tell you about that, what that particular thing. But when you have hard bumps or lumps or corns, that is caused by hardened thinking. Something that you have a hard feeling on and have not been ready to let go. And I don't know that there's a glyph that will really deal with that except the emotional healing ones.
Yes, isn't it so amazing that just those simple glyphs just clear out all of that stuff that keeps us from being really present and connected.
Who we are, yes.
Who we are. Wonderful work, Jean Logan. Really fascinating. That is the end of our questions today. And we thank everyone for joining us. Jean, thank you too. Really fabulous. Everyone stay tuned, because I really feel this is only the beginning for you, Jean. And everyone, please share your experience. Be patient with yourself. I will share my patience with you. It took 2 months to really, I actually don't know, I had to look back and reflect on, maybe it was about 6 weeks. I had a little bit of a eczema that came up, and it could have been something from childhood, but using one glyph, just one. It's...
Which glyph?
The one for skin.
Which glyph?
The one for skin.
Okay.
But now it's like the emotional release that we've learned today from these combinations. This is like a nice program that people can go through in very simple ways, putting under their pillow at night, I like that. I even think taking, I sleep with a glass of water next to my bed. You could put one under the glass of water and then drink that too. So it just seems like there's lots of ways to use this in our life. Putting them on, I did wear it on my body as well. And I teach group fitness, so I had to go work and it got sweaty. That's why I love all the different glyphs that you have as well. But it's pretty amazing. So we really look forward to everyone's story. And we'll check back in the future and share again. So, Jean,
Great.
I will leave you with a message that you can offer people as we say goodbye today.
Okay, I just want to remember and remind you of what I said earlier. You are divine. You are unlimited. The sky is the limit. Believe in who you are and believe in your power. Whatever it is in life that you want, you can do it. You can do it. And whatever you want, ask. Whatever you need, wherever you encounter a block, ask for help. Ask for help, and you will receive all the help you need. My blessings to every one of you.
Oh, and thank you, Jean. It was really fabulous information, and I just have one last thing to share with everyone. When I did a healing conversation with Jean, she always referred to him as her ex-husband, and you could just feel the energy and the connection. It just seemed interesting that you were exes because you have a close connection, and it's wonderful that because of the work that you did with the glyphs, you just have been able to clear all of that. So this is really good work for all of us. We know we need to be in the higher frequencies, and this work definitely allows us to connect in and truly begin to live it. Because as you said, when we change ourselves, we're changing those around us as well. Thank you, everyone. We will get you this recording. I now leave you with music from the universe. This music was an activator in my own spiritual awakening, as my father created this by assigning mathematical equations to musical notes. We leave this with you as you enjoy your journey today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.